to another episode of Hudson's Highlights. What we do on my channels, we discuss movies and TV shows and things within that space. So today, as promised, we're going to be discussing Daredevil Born Again Ep.9, the season finale. This will be a full spoiler discussion, so if you have not checked that episode out, please go ahead and step away, finish the episode, and come back so you don't get spoiled with any of the spoilery details within this episode of Hudson's Highlights. So the episode does start with the shot point of view from Bullseye from the previous episode. Once he makes it upstairs and he has the rifle, it opens with us looking through the scope as if we are as if we are Bullseye. Then it cuts from that to a year before, and this part of the episode really explains how he ended up in the position that he's in. And what we assumed was correct. It was Vanessa who met him at the psych ward about a year before and had a conditional release for him to be released from the psych ward, already drawn up, if he would agree to commit a murder for her. Actually, she wanted him to commit two of them, Foggy and then Foggy's witness that Foggy had stashed away, which ultimately ended up coming to fruition because, as we all know, Bullseye did, in fact, go ahead and follow through with that command. After the opening credits, we cut to Matt in the hospital. He has obviously been shot from the previous episode where he decided to take a bullet for Bullseye. I'm sorry, not for Bullseye, but for Kingpin. And he, even in his drug state, he's still on the case. He's still asking questions about, where were the files? And, he's trying to plead to Dr. Glenn and his associate that, they need to continue to work this beat. And unfortunately for him, at this point, you really do see that if there was any doubt of the divide between Glenn and Matt, now there is no doubt at all. At this point in the episode, she pretty much is treating him like he's a psych patient. Like she's got herself involved with a psych patient and she needs to get out of that situation. And it's really sad for Matt because he even explains to her, I know you don't understand. I know you don't, but you're going to have to trust me on this. And she basically gives him a kiss on the cheek and says, I'll see you when you're better. Which is basically a good way. If anyone who's anyone knows that if your girlfriend kisses you on the cheek and says, I'll see you when you get better, she don't plan on seeing you again, buddy. So just sucks for Matt because he's on to something. He knows he's on to something, but because he has that Daredevil persona that he can't let everybody know about, he has two people that he cares about in a situation that's basically going to turn it back on him because he's doing things that they don't understand. And from their point of view, he seems like he's just being mad and really tripping over the loss of his friend that's been sparked back up by this idea that in their minds, he just cooked up in his head. So I get where they're coming from, but from the point of view of the audience, it does suck for Matt that he's going through what he's going through. After that, Fisk decides that he's going to threaten to shut the city down. There's been an attack on his life, and he decided that was the next course of action for him. Ultimately, we know that Kingpin always has a backup, a game plan here. So you immediately feel like, yeah, you're saying you want to do this because of what happened, but really there's something else going on here. And he also, in this moment, once everyone leaves after his little press conference is over or his little conference is over, he tells his henchman, his right-hand man, that, what if Matt were to succumb to his wounds? Basically telling him, hey, you know what, we're gonna kill two birds with one stone here. We'll go ahead and get rid of Daredevil and we'll take control of the city all in one night. And as of course we come to know Kingpin, if he says he's gonna do something, he's probably gonna do it. So he moves along with his plan. He decides, you know what? He sends his henchman out, his right-hand man out to go kill Matt in the hospital. Meanwhile, he has the city's power shut off. And really just a fast pace with the episode. You can really feel they know they have a lot of ground to cover, so they take off. And like I said, all this is happening within the first 15 minutes or so of the episode. So it really is a good pace that they've decided to take here. So once the commissioner hears what Kingpin is up to, he decides, you know what, I'm going to go over this dude's head. Even the mayor has bosses. So he decides he's going to go upstate and he's going to talk to some people and let them know what the Kingpin's up to. And he asks what is her name in the show? Just give me a second here because I want to look up what her name is. But she's the press secretary for Kingpin. She has to be somewhere pretty. And of course, Sheila. So she asks, and I have that somewhere in my notes too. Stupid me. So the commissioner is basically asking Sheila, hey, uh, I would like for you to be on my side with this. And she tells him, hey, I can't leave here, but if you're asking me to put in a word for you as to what's going on here, I will. So the commissioner clearly he's fed up with it. He's like, you know what, this dude's lost his mind. We've got to make amends. We got to make this end. Uh, Unfortunately, before he has any segue, she does ask him, when do you plan to leave? And he says first thing in the morning. But before the morning gets here, Kingpin shuts power off. So the morning never makes it. At least not before he can get out of town. The right hand man does make it to Matt's hospital room, but by the time he gets there, Matt's long gone. He's long gone. Matt, with his hearing, picks up his footsteps coming down the hallway, and he pretty much figures out this guy can't be coming to give me roses. So he gets out of there. Luckily for Matt, that they had this plan timed out for when the power would be shut off. Just so happened to work out that when the power was shut off, Matt used that opportunity to get out of there. So that plan kind of backfired in the killing of Daredevil thing. But as far as the power being cut out, it did work out for him in his benefit, at least his mass benefit, to get out of the hospital before the guy really takes him out. Matt does make it home and lays on the couch. He's exhausted. He's obviously wounded. And he says, you're the last person I expected to be here. And when the camera pans around into the kitchen, you realize that he's talking to the Punisher. And the Punisher is there, and he spares no punches. He tells him, listen, there's a van of vigilante task force people on the way to here now. And he tells him, if they make up those steps, I'm not sparing punches. I'm not playing nice with these guys. I'm going to kill them. And Daredevil says, maybe I don't want your kind of help. He said, well, this kind of help you got. This is kind of help you got. And he does allude that someone made a call to me to make sure you get out of the city, to make sure you make it safe. And before they can even come up with a good plan, Matt hears the van pull up, and it is exactly who they thought it was going to be. It's the Vigilante Task Force, and this is where the episode takes off, man. They burst into Matt's apartment, and Matt's at this point donned his Daredevil outfit, and he's using his batons, and the whole time you're watching Matt fight for his life here, and the Punisher is, like he said, he is not sparing any punches. He is shooting fools straight in the face, Hitman style. Very gory. I was actually very surprised at Disney Plus that Disney was willing to go this far with this thing. I was taken back by it. Like, I was like, there's no way Disney's gonna allow Punisher to be real Punisher in this series. And boy, does he ever go full Punisher in this episode. I have never seen a Disney show like this before in my life. This dude is doing some crazy stuff. Just the choreography with the gunsmanship and the shot choreography. Some of the scenes they're showing. These aren't. I'm not talking about. It's 6 to 8 feet away, and maybe you can't see this because it's the way of the angle. No, we're talking about the camera's here, the gun's here, and this guy's face is here, and the gun goes off. So you know what happens to this guy's face. That kind of fight choreography. It was brutal. They do get the upper hand of the Vigilante Task Force, but one of them on the outside throws in a grenade, so they have to jump off the roof to get out of there. And when they land on the ground and finally get their bearings together, Karen is there. And come to find out, Karen was the one that told the Punisher to be there for him because she got the call that things was about to go wrong. She got the call that uh, things were going wrong in the city, and she knew that he was going to try to save everybody and probably get himself killed in the process. But cutting back though, during that fight scene there was one really neat part, one really deep part I wanted to bring up throughout the fights in Matt's apartment when the Vigilante Task Force shows up. There is a moment where Daredevil is able to identify through a casing that has been shot at a gun. The bullets have been shot at him. The casing is on the ground. He picks it up and it has that bullseye marking on it. And he has this guy pinned against the wall, and he tells Daredevil, "Found your guy, the guy who killed White Tiger." And this was a really interesting moment because it made Matt come face to face with his demons. Like, okay, you've been wanting to hunt this guy down. You've been wanting to get to the bottom of this. Where here he is. What did you plan on doing once you found him? And Punisher pretty much tells him, he's here. Kill him. Of course, Daredevil says, I'm not going to do that, but and obviously he doesn't make it if a grenade gets thrown in there. But either way, it was just a really interesting moment because you get an opportunity to see just how far Punisher's willing to go and just how much restraint Matt actually has as Daredevil when you juxtapose him next to someone like a Punisher. Really good scene, man. Really, really good scene. This whole episode was lights out, boys and girls. But so, like I said, Karen does show up to grab them. In this episode, what really strikes home to me is that you really get a sense that Kingpin is Kingpin. Kingpin has been the Kingpin, and you learn that more when Karen and Matt finally start to dig in. Once Matt tells her that, I think that Foggy was killed because of that case, they start digging through some of the old case files and realize that that section, what do they call it, red something, red, whatever it is, that section of the city is actually a free port, which means that it doesn't fall under any city or state or government jurisdiction. So the whole time, he's playing mayor. What he's really doing is setting up his own free state right there on the port of New York City. So he's been pulling this card the whole time. That's why he wanted to get the ground cut for that side of the city. That's why he wanted to get basically an empire built over there and a no man's land, is because he knew that, and so did Vanessa, and that's what led to Foggy's death ultimately. And it was a really good idea for them to. The writing in that episode was fantastic, just to show you that from the beginning, taking you all the way back to episode 1, 2, and 3. This was already in the works. This was already part of Kingpin's plan, and although Vanessa didn't realize it, uh, or maybe she did. Maybe she just was hoping that he would return. But the plan was always to set up this free port, this free city within New York that they can control without any jurisdiction from any governmental entity. And I do think that next season we'll end up revisiting that 100%. But while they're uh, digging through the rummage, they decide that they're gonna have to go over here and figure out what's going on. And of course, Frank doesn't follow them to do all the digging in the files, but he does have his scanner on, and he hears they're basically setting up an ambush. So if Daredevil does show up, he's gonna get killed when he gets there. So Frank shows up first and goes once again full Punisher. I mean, they were expecting Daredevil, and they see Frank, and they're basically telling them, because in their mind they idolize this guy. So they're basically saying, "Hey, listen, non-lethal weapons. We're gonna just take him in and try to get him to talk to us." And he starts murdering fools right off the gate. Unfortunately, he is overrun, but uh, just by the sheer number of vigilante task force members that there were to one man. But just another cool idea of how unhinged Frank Castle really is. Like, he really is an unhinged individual. He's been damaged beyond rapport. And I don't think that you can shake back from that. Like I mentioned before, I think that he, if you didn't believe it before watching this episode, you can tell that this guy, and he talks about it. The task force does try to turn him, and they said basically, we'll wash hands of everything that you did before. You come work for us. You don the uniform. We'll take care of you. And he tells them, you don't know my pain. You don't know my loss. You all a bunch of clowns walking around thinking that you're doing something to honor somebody that you don't even understand. And I thought that was a really interesting, really deep moment in the episode as well. But moving on from that, they do cut to more of a Fisk situation. And Sheila, the press secretary, you think that she would be on the side of the commissioner. And maybe she wanted to be. Maybe she was just straight up scared. But she did record the conversation with the commissioner. So, and she gives it to the Kingpin. So the Kingpin obviously hears this, and he picks the commissioner up, has one of his henchmen swapped out for a driver, and brings him to top of this building. Um, and this is probably the most gruesome thing I've ever seen on Disney Plus. The Kingpin basically gets the better hand of him, and he goes to squish his face. And you think, okay, well, we're going to hear a couple bones crack. He's going to fall over. And he squishes and squishes and squishes and squishes and squeezes and rips this dude's head almost in half on screen. And like I said before, they don't give you a 6 foot to 8 foot span to kind of leave your imagination to guess what happens. No, the camera pans in and allows you to see his flesh rip from left to right and not in the same direction together. And it was so gruesome. My wife even said, "This made me sad. I need to leave." it was that gruesome. If you've seen it, hopefully you have. If you made it this far in this episode, but if you've seen it, you know what I mean. It was pretty deep. Uh, After that, Fisk does ask Dr. Glenn to join him as basically his commissioner of mental health, and she accepts. So if we were ever confused as about what side of the table Glenn's going to stand on, she's standing on the side with Fisk. She believes in his cause, and she's going to help him, which is unfortunate because this is a big twist from the beginning. I was really rooting for her and Matt, but you know these things happen in real life, so it's relatable. Life takes you two different directions sometimes. No matter how much you care for each other, you just end up on two different sides of the playing field, and that's just the way it worked out. Fisk does activate martial law and tells everybody in a press conference after he restores the lights that the lights were sabotaged, and if we need martial law, he's going to restore power to the city and restore peace to the city. But obviously, that's not what his ultimate game was. Now, Kingpin, Matt, Daredevil does make it to this Freeport, and he is going to try to go in there himself, but luckily Karen talks him out of it and tells him, listen, man, you go in there, you're a dead man. It's just you by yourself, and even if you're going to either have to start killing people today, or you're going to go in and get yourself killed. So he does listen to Karen and decides that he needs an army behind him if he's going to take the Kingpin down this time. It won't be a one-on-one match. The Kingpin's gotten way too powerful. So he does back down, and we cut to a scene where we get Kingpin basically in his victory march in his little attic where he had Adam. But now we have several cages of everyone who's ever gone against him. Swordsmaster, anyone, the wife, the billionaire's wife's husband is in the cage. And of course, Punisher's in that cage, one of those cages as well. And we cut from that to Matt and Karen having a really deep conversation about how much Foggy believed in him. Because Matt's he's being torn. He's feeling like, you know what, I've done everything I could do for this city, and I'm still losing. I'm still losing people. I'm losing to the Kingpin. Everything's going wrong. This city may be unsavable. She gives him a really powerful speech telling him how much that Foggy believed in him even when he was doing the things that would be considered maybe crossing the line. Foggy still believed in the good and the dark inside of him, and thought that was a really good touching moment. End of the episode, unexpectedly, there's a post-credit scene which is really cool, a really gruesome scene of basically the Punisher escaping, because no one actually thought you could keep Punisher in this little bear cage. Come on, but really cool scene. They didn't need to do that for us, but they did. And I appreciate it. But that was the end of the episode. Fantastic finale. I think they knocked it out of the park with Daredevil Born Again. Knocked it straight out of the park. I was worried. I was hesitant. I was a little concerned. I had some issues. Had some concerns about how they're going to treat the Punisher. Were they going to Disney-fy the Punisher? Were they going to Disney-fy Daredevil? Disney-fy the Kingpin? I was completely proven wrong. This episode in itself was a fantastic episode, but a perfect culmination to a season 1 of a season. Looking forward to all the breadcrumbs they left for us to be interested in the season 2. Definitely looking forward to it. They've already let us know they're going to drop season 2 in March of next year, so we don't have to wait that long. We're talking maybe 10 months from now, 11 months from now. We're right back at the shoe with this thing. So we're not waiting the 2 or 3 years like we have been in the past for season 2 and 3. They're dropping this thing back to back for us, which is fantastic. But tell me what you guys thought about the episode and the season finale and the season itself. Did you appreciate it? Did you think it was your taste? Maybe it was a little too gruesome for you, or maybe it was a little slow for you. Whatever you guys thought, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you on the next episode of Hustlers Highlights. Take care.